paramedics actually had the family sign a pre-made death certificate in order to speed up the funeral and burial process. The Baltimore Sun released an expose surrounding the case. Just want you guys to know that, I don't speak Spanish, and there are a lot of beautiful names in this story that I'm not going to be able to pronounce. Hey guys, welcome back, or if you are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney, and I'm here to give you the creeps. If you're into true horror, I highly suggest that you hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you're notified every single time that I upload, because I come on here every single week and tell you guys another true and scary story. So today I have another unresolved mystery for you guys. I know, groundbreaking. However, today's video is a little bit different than the other cases that I've brought up recently, just because it's one that I feel like hasn't received as much attention as it probably should. Given how many twists and turns the story has, I just feel like we should all be talking about the story a little bit more because it really will, give you whiplash. It's that wild. That said, guys, luckily for us, as of next week, Netflix is going to be releasing a 4-part docuseries on this case because they have been the queens of true crime documentaries this year. And that docuseries is going to be titled Carmel: Who Killed Maria Marta? Now guys, like I said, this story really hasn't been talked about, at least not recently. For that reason, a lot of people have probably been wondering what this case is about and why Netflix is making a docuseries about it. What could have possibly happened on a story that really hasn't been covered since 2002 in Argentina? And I'd be willing to bet that if you're watching this video, you're probably wondering kind of the same thing. So if you are, definitely make sure you stay tuned for this video because I'm going to be breaking it down for you today. So our story starts on October 27th of 2002 in a small Buenos Aires gated community called Carmel. And within this gated community is where Maria Marta lives with her husband Carlos Carrascosa. Now on this afternoon in specifics, Carlos is actually at his in-laws' house watching a football match, like the European kind. Football, not football. And while he's at his in-laws' house watching this football match, his wife, Maria Marta, is supposed to be out playing tennis. However, that morning, it had actually rained, so it is believed that Maria Marta went home from her tennis match early. Now, after the match is over, Carlos returns to his home in this gated community. He goes inside and goes up to the bathroom, where he finds a shocking and heartbreaking scene, because it is there that he finds his wife, Maria Marta, floating dead in the bathtub. Now this was obviously a shocking discovery for Carlos, right? Well, we'll see about that. So in Carlos's panic, he immediately calls paramedics as well as Maria Marta's family to let them know what was going on. And immediately both the paramedics and the family head over to this home in the gated community. And once the paramedics along with her family arrived at the home in Carmel, Carlos shares with all of them what he believes happened to his wife on that morning. Now, according to Carlos, there is apparently some sort of a beam or support structure that was directly over the bathtub that he found Maria Marta's body in. And it was his theory that she hit her head while getting into the bathtub, causing her to go unconscious, and then she fell into the water below, causing her to drown. That said, guys, at least to me, this seems like a pretty freak accident. Okay? Does it not seem at least a little suspicious that Maria Marta, who had lived in this home for years, wasn't more mindful of this support beam above the bathtub that apparently had the ability of knocking her unconscious? You see how shady that is? Now, despite the freakish nature of this theory, paramedics as well as Maria Marta's family thought that it was actually a pretty good explanation for what happened to Maria Marta that morning. In fact, not only did nobody think to question this theory, paramedics actually had the family sign a pre-made death certificate with this as the cause of death in order to speed up the funeral and burial process, i.e. they skipped the autopsy, which would have proven this claim. Shady. Very shady. That being said, guys, Maria Marta's family goes ahead and starts planning her funeral, and all the while, no one is really thinking about this alleged cause of death. Well, that is except for her one stepbrother, who had been kind of lurking in the background quietly, just kind of something's not adding up here. And it was he who ended up requesting an investigation for the death of Maria Marta. Enter our lead investigator, Diego Molina Pico. I don't know why I set him up so weird, but we're just gonna roll with it. Now, Diego doesn't actually start out this investigation by requesting an autopsy of Maria Marta's body. He's holding that in his back pocket for a little while later, okay? Instead, he ends up going to her wake, just to kind of get an idea of who this family is, and see if he can get together a persons of interest list. Once it's over, he ends up leaving the wake with a little bit better idea of the family dynamic here. However, he still is unsure of exactly what happened to Maria Marta on October 27th of 2002. Now, a couple weeks after the funeral itself, Diego then decides to interview some of the paramedics that showed up at the scene on the day of Maria Marta's death. And in doing that, he gets a slightly clearer picture of what happened that day. Because according to these paramedics, the cause of death was a little bit shadier than they were originally led to believe. Something within Carlos's story just didn't add up to them. Things didn't make sense, and we weren't sure if the actual cause of death was the real cause of death. And this information is all that Diego and his team of investigators really need to go ahead and order that routine autopsy of Maria Marta's body. And here is where the story takes yet another turn. I told you this was going to give you whiplash. So get this, guys. Apparently, during this autopsy, they find 5 bullets lodged into Maria Marta's head that had somehow conveniently just gone unnoticed by her family as well as the paramedics. Now, I don't want to make this any more graphic than it needs to be, but I feel like I need to make this point here. There had to be some sort of a mess involved with that. Like 5 gunshot wounds? That would be really hard to miss, especially for trained paramedics, right? Well, apparently they also found a glue-like substance in these wounds. Upon finding this substance, they decided to go ahead and send it out for a chemistry to see exactly what it was and if it was in fact glue. A short while later, they received the results of this chemistry back and found that they were inconclusive. However, this didn't stop investigators from theorizing why the substance was there. And to Diego and his team of investigators, it seemed as if someone had glued shut her gunshot wounds and cleaned up the crime scene before the paramedics were even called. Should I say it? I think I'm gonna say it. Shady. So for obvious reasons, investigators immediately looked to Carlos as the lead suspect in the investigation, just because he was the one who, found the body and called the paramedics, and if this theory was true, it was likely that he was the one who committed the murder itself. I'm not saying that's what happened, I'm just saying that this is where the story went, don't come for me. So they go ahead and start looking into Carlos's story, and they check his alibi, because remember, he said that he was with Maria Marta's family watching this football match. And if that were the case, they definitely want to look into that claim, So given this alibi, investigators immediately go to Maria Marta's family. Like, we got this in the bag. Case closed. Because of course her family wouldn't be covering for their daughter's murderer, right? So you can imagine how surprised the investigators were to find that Maria Marta's family confirmed his alibi and claimed that he was in fact with them at the time of his wife's death. Wild. Another plot twist. Now, as surprised as investigators were to find that Maria Marta's family confirmed Carlos's alibi, they immediately decided to go ahead and rule him out as a suspect, just because there was no way that he would have been with her family and still committed this murder. From there, they were kind of at a loss, and it was back to the drawing board until the case finally went cold a little while later. But the story doesn't end there. No, it does not. So get this. In 2004, nearly 2 years after Maria Marta's murder, the Baltimore Sun released an expose surrounding the case. And it was here that they claimed that Carlos Carrascosa was actually behind Maria Marta's murder after all. I know. Plot twist, yet again. So according to the Baltimore Sun, Carlos, along with a few key members of Maria Marta's immediate family, had some shady dealings with the cartel. Maria Marta had apparently found out about these dealings and threatened to go to investigators because she didn't want to be involved with such activity. Honestly, can't blame her. However, her husband and her family, they weren't having it, and they decided to take matters into their own hands. I believe you can see where this is going. Right? Now, as a result, or so the Baltimore Sun claims, Carlos, along with 2 unnamed accomplices, entered their home and murdered Maria Marta on the morning of October 27th of 2002. This is absolutely shameful. Once the deed was done, Carlos had allegedly invited those key members of Maria Marta's family back over to their house so that they could plan their next move and ultimately cover up the murder of Maria Marta. Now, if I understood correctly of this expose, it seemed that the allegations that the Baltimore Sun was making were based in some sort of fact. For that reason, a short time later, Carlos Carrascosa ended up being arrested and charged for the murder of his wife, Maria Marta. That being said, guys, during the trial itself, Carlos was actually found not guilty for the charges that had been brought against him, and he was eventually released and cleared of any involvement with the murder of his wife Maria Marta. As of today, investigators are still unsure of exactly what happened to Maria Marta back in October of 2002. And for that reason, this mystery and her murder remain unresolved. That being said, guys, I really am interested to see what you guys think of this case, especially once Netflix releases their 4-part series on the subject, which will undoubtedly shed a little bit more light onto the situation itself. That being said, make sure you leave your comments, theories, and thoughts down below so that we can start a discussion about the case itself. But with that in mind, I think that's pretty much it for today's video. If you made it all the way here to the end and liked what you saw, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. Also, if you're feeling generous, make sure you share this video on different social media platforms. It really helps my channel reach as many people as possible, and you know how much I appreciate all of your love and support. And finally, guys, thanks so much for watching. My name is Courtney, and I run a true horror channel here on YouTube. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I come on here every single week and tell you guys another true and scary story. So if that is something you're interested in seeing more of, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you're notified every single time that I upload. And with that said, I'll see you all next week for another new video. Bye.